day like this, our lips bloom. Electricity in the air raises the hair on our arms as if we are standing at timberline too close to God. Not even the camera can sit still on a day like this. Edges fuzz, lines go jiggy. Let the gown slide from your shoulder. Savor the delirious crackle and coil.
Deborah?
We're here with Karen Hildebrand. Karen and I know each other from a writing workshop more than 20 years ago. And then we both moved to California without knowing it at the same time.
Yeah.
And met up again. And in that time, Karen has become a published poet, which is super cool. She now lives in New York. And Crossing Pleasure Avenue, it was published late last year?
Yeah, it came out last year. My publisher is an independent publisher in Brooklyn called Indolent Books. They have a website.
Ready.
Almost down.
They have a website.
Well, they were publishing poetry in response to the political situation with the Trump election.
Right.
And they did like the first 100 days of the election, I believe, and put together an anthology. And a friend of mine was in that, and I thought, oh, I want to be part of this too. And I sent them something, but it was too late. They were full up for that first 100 days. So I got in on the second wave. They're still doing it. It's called What Rough Beast, after John Keats. And so I submitted a bunch of political inspired poems. And Michael Broder, who's the publisher, accepted all of those poems, and I became like a regular feature. I was his Sunday feature for that.
Oh, cool.
And then, and then he asked me, he said, do you by chance have a manuscript? Have you published a book? As a matter of fact, I have a manuscript. I've been working on it, and I'd love to send it to you.
Did you know you were going to be working on poetry when you moved to California?
No, I don't think I did. I think I was trying to write fiction and personal essay, and I had written some poetry in the past, a long time in the past, but it didn't feel like that was going to be a major path for me. But you know how it happened when I came out to San Francisco? I took a flyer off of a bulletin board because I thought this is going to be a way to meet people, is sign up for a writing course.
Right.
And I signed up for poetry at the writing salon.
At the writing salon.
I met several people that I know. So the poetry class was like, oh yeah, this is fun. This is really cool because in fiction I had trouble keeping focus, and in poetry you can jump around a lot, and so it kind of suited my affect. I don't know. But the next semester they didn't offer poetry, and so I took Jane's class, and that's how I met her. I took her personal essay class.
Can you tell us, Jane, I can't forget her last name.
This is Jane Underwood.
Jane Underwood.
And she founded this wonderful writing school called the Writing Salon, and ran it for 15 years, maybe 18 years, out of her living room in Bernal Heights. And it was like this great grassroots thing. It was like writing for the people. Anybody can write. You can learn how to write and tell your story. Everybody has a story. That was kind of her thing. And she died a few years ago. But the school is continuing on.
Right. Was that a personal essay class?
Personal essay.
Yeah.
And she invited me into her writing group at that point, and I met all the writers that I know in San Francisco. And I still hadn't really focused on poetry. It took a move to New York to really get started in the serious poetry mode. Oh my goodness, I feel like you're not going to dump me out.
No.
It's called binomial nomenclature. I was raised by insects who left me with spinal abnormalities and an appetite for silk. As a species, we tend to be very private, hiding our delicate exoskeletons under hats that do little to flatter. Recently, I was visited by a clan of centipedes who refer to each other with affection and nicknames. One needs a chart to track. I am enthralled with ants. Sensing sugar from 15 floors down, they chain smoke until every last one has breached the windowsill. As a child, I would study the family tree in my grandmother's Bible, tracing my finger backward among the branches. There is no evidence I was switched at birth. Back then, I had no reason to doubt the space beneath my name would one day be filled with anything less than desire.
Were you 10 years in California before you moved to New
No,
York?
I lived here only for 5.5 years.
Gosh, that was all.
But, you know, every minute of that was magical, so it kind of felt like it was longer. It went by really fast.
Yeah, chapters. The thing is, you have been writing in your other, like writing for work.
Yeah.
And would you call it journalistic or
Yeah,
reportage?
yeah. So I'm a magazine editor, and I spend my days trying to make people's writing make sense. You know, this idea follows this idea, and the sentences are all very logical and linear, and it makes sense and it tells a story. But for poetry, you have to like leave that behind, and you know, use your imagination, and you can jump around, and poetry becomes boring if you're like making complete sense all the time. You know, it's hard to jump back and forth.
Well, I was wondering about your writing practice, because obviously in San Francisco you're doing a lot of different writing thing with different people, writing groups, and then you go to New York and you're like, I'm going to focus on poetry, and you know, you have a pretty responsible job. So how do you keep the poetry plant alive?
Well, there's a couple of things, and it's all about community. I take a regular poetry workshop. I also, go to poetry readings all the time, and there's a big community of downtown poets in New York, in the Village, which is a really good influence. You just keep at it.
Right.
Just keep at it. This poem is called The Great Milky Way. I have many reports on the miseries of the milkman, daughter of dairy folk that I am. But the cows are lovely. Holstein, Guernsey, Belarus red. Uncle Vern used to hook them up to machines that pulse the barn like a disco. Milk, my happy place. Butter churned from the froth takes well to chocolate and mama's boys. It's the sweet bond of suckle we wish we could return to. In a bowl, the Cheerios always run out first. Snow White, a shapely vixen, bottled with a pleated cap, wholesome as Nancy Drew. Farming is hard, said Uncle Vern before he died. Damn you, Vern, said his wife after. When he was sad, he ate Wonder Bread, soaked in milk from a glass with a spoon.
Wonder Bread. Yeah, the keeping out, the relearning. And do you think that's harder to relearn once you kind of feel like you know where you kind of sit in the world of poetry and you've got your book? Do you think that's harder to keep at it or easier?
It's an interesting question because it's about the rhythm. Once you worked on the poems for a lot of years, and then you put it together and it comes out in a book, and then your job is to tell people about the book and to read from the book. And in the meantime, I'm writing new stuff all the time. So it uses kind of like two sides of the brain. Whenever I think, oh, well, I don't really have anything more to say, or I keep writing the same poems over and over again, and then all of a sudden I'll sit down and I'll write a poem, and I go, okay, it's not over, it's still there.
Yeah.
So here's a poem about San Francisco.
Okay.
Called Earthquake Weather. I was because one of the lines came to me. I said, "Oh, a day like today," or
Right.
It's from this poem, Earthquake Weather. When the sky clears, we all go to North Beach. Leave the frowning barista alone with her tattooed fists. Shake the dust from our pillbox hats of lavender straw, soft with age, crumpled rose. On a day like this, our lips bloom. Electricity in the air raises the hair on our arms as if we are standing at timberline, too close to God. Not even the camera can sit still on a day like this. Edges fuzz, lines go jiggy. Let the gown slide from your shoulder. Savor the delirious crackle and coil.
Yeah, I can just see North Beach.
Yeah.
A lot of the poems I know in this book are based here in California. I recognize some of them at that time. How does it feel to come back and read them here?
Well, when I was sitting at my desk in New York thinking about what I was going to read here and who might be at the reading that may be mentioned in one of the poems, and how should I read those, and I thought I had it all planned out. Now that I'm here, I'm not really sure. It feels different. Because, when I lived here was 15 years ago, and San Francisco is a very different place now than it was 15 years ago. So I don't know that these poems that are out of my past really make sense now. It's more about, I want to gather my friends and I want to celebrate the book, but it's not necessarily about a particular San Francisco kind of poem. I'll read a couple of them that are more upbeat, because it's also about a personal loss that I had and a love story that ended sadly, and I don't necessarily need to go into that downer.
Who are you reading these days? What poets are really exciting to you? Whee!
Whoa. I am reading Terrence Hayes. He wrote American Sonnets from my present and future assassin.
Oh, wow.
He won the MacArthur, and he was nominated for a couple of National Book Critics Circle awards, and so I heard him read recently from American Sonnet.
How do you read poetry? Do you just read all the lit magazines?
I buy the individual books because the lit magazines will have a range of people, but I'm more interested in reading like one particular person and kind of getting an idea of how they write and how what their voice is, and to see it in a whole book and to read it in the order that they put it in the book. It's really interesting.
It's like an album.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
Gusty.
That's quite exciting.
To write about life. I mean, are there topics that you come back to?
It's like when you let a poem surprise you. No matter what I think I'm writing about, I might be describing the waves that I'm seeing on the boat. Somehow, I will still be writing about love and loss. I write about, what it's the aging, what I'm learning about myself physically and emotionally as I get older, and that's starting to show up in the poetry. Feminism, I write about women for sure. I write about myself, and speaking for all of womanhood, right? But
In your working, do you write in the morning? Do you come home and write, or do you kind of take notes and write when you have time?
I have to write first thing in the morning, as close as possible to the dream state. I get images, I get lines. I'll wake up with a line in my head. Speaking of writing about places, this is the title poem to the book, Crossing Pleasure Avenue. And
Is there really a Pleasure Avenue?
there is.
Where's Pleasure
There
Avenue?
is. It's in Sea Isle City on the Jersey Shore,
Oh, interesting.
which is this place for the summer people. And I was there with my friend Susie, and immediately we're bicycling down this road, and I'm going, it's Pleasure Avenue. I have to do something with that. crossing Pleasure Avenue. In Sea Isle City, signs are posted, "Take it slow for the turtles." Every summer, they cross the pavement from bay to beach, like us. Even if we don't give a whit about turtles, we are compelled to check our speed. If we travel long enough from the casino bus, Pleasure Avenue will lead us to Oldies Night at Bush's, where we can, if we're quick, beat out the white-haired ladies for a place at the end of the bar to sit with our handbags swaddled to our chests like the babies we never had. It's the best spot to sip a martini and survey the kingdom of nothing better to do on a Saturday night. The DJ spins tunes for women with thickening midriffs, reclaiming their youth on the dance floor. We take our pleasure as we can. When I pause just a beat too long before saying no to the married guy in the ball cap, the only guy I want to dance with, who do I think is watching? Why do turtles lay their eggs in the sand? God has his head in the clouds. He flips a coin to decide which side is the wrong side. Watch as he sets up a quarter on the back of his thumb. Watch the female turtles and their newborn young take their marks along Pleasure Avenue, the ocean side, as the hot pavement sweats, and once again risk everything.
That makes me want to cry.
Show me what you can do with this.
A pair of masked marauders, we blink our shiny eyes to an Oakland-Alameda tune, as if we had all night. A couple of intruders nipping stolen gin. You swing the car door open, say, "Won't you please get in? Won't you please get in?" Forget the swish of satin, forget the glitter tin, forget I said I love you. Won't you please get in? Won't you please get in? I regard you from a distance with a gilded point of view. A pair of masked marauders, we dance a slow, soft shoe. Line up the shiny pebbles, polish off our lies. We've got 20 clever fingers to count the way time flies. Forget the swish of satin, forget the glitter tin, forget I said I love you. Won't you just get in? Won't you please get in? shiny eyes were a pair of masked marauders who steal away the night. A couple of intruders nipping stolen gin. You swing the car door open, say, won't you please get in? Won't you please get in? Won't you please get in? Oh my God, I love it.
That's fun.
Cool. It's so different from the way that I did it. I'm telling you, the music makes all the difference.
This is our thing.
Well, that was fabulous. Karen Hildebrand, how
Yay.
awesome to have you on
Thank
board.
you.
Poet,
Thank you.
poet out of New York.
Deborah Crooks.
Kwame Copeland.
All right. Thank you so much. Love the Bay.
We love the Bay. Woo-hoo.